Hey guys! I think we all have some book that we love, but that, in our opinion, just doesn't have the success that it should have, and just doesn't have the readership that it should have. I mean, I talked about those books before, but what about the books that do have a lot of success? The books that get over 100,000 ratings, the books that get over 1 million ratings, even. Are those really good books? Well, today I decided to collect all of the books that I've read with over 100,000 ratings, and we're gonna tier rank them and really put to the test if they are overhyped or not, in my opinion. I have to say that I did not include classics or Stephen King books because that would have swollen the list to over 50 books, and I'm sorry, but I can't record possibly for that long of a time. And so, yeah, I just decided to not include classics and Stephen King books because classics accumulated their ratings over a longer time, and Stephen King books are just popular regardless of their quality, so I don't think I can really judge if they are like deservedly that popular. Not that this list is objective in any way, anyways, but still. So I think first we should go over the tiers I have created. The first tier is obviously overhyped in capital letters. These are for the books that I think are definitely overhyped, like the title says. The second tier is appropriately titled somewhat overhyped. These are books I think are somewhat overhyped, like the title says. They are not as bad. I can definitely see why they're popular, but I do think that they are a little more popular than I would probably expect from them. The third tier is appropriately hyped. These are books that I can understand the hype, or if I cannot understand the hype, then I can at least understand why it has amassed the readership or popularity that it has. So I don't begrudge these books for being as popular as they are. Tier number 4 is wait, people like this? This one is not a judge of character or quality of the books, because there are books in this tier that I actually like. It's just that I did not know that these were actually that popular. I had no idea that they had amassed such a huge readership. So yeah, those are going into this tier. And the last tier is underhyped. These are books that are underhyped in my opinion. They do have obviously a huge readership. We are talking about books with 100,000 plus ratings on here, but I still think they should be more popular. And as you're going to see, this is probably a lot of the books I personally like, but I've never said I've been objective. I've never been objective like ever. So yeah, with that said, why don't we get into it? We're going to start in the most boring way possible because this book is Relic by Douglas Preston. And I do think that this book is appropriately hyped, so it's going to go in that tier. Why do I think this book is appropriately hyped? Well, it is a thriller, a light science fiction thriller at that. It has like sciencey elements. It is a little scary, but not too scary. So it's not like outright horror, but it still has like the thrills that people want. And it has a detective character, but also a female POV character that, in my opinion, is not very badly written. But I read this a long time ago, so I could be a little out of touch with that. And like, I don't know, I think this is just a very broad appeal. I think people really like to read about a monster in a museum with a likable cast of characters. And yeah, so I think this book is appropriately hyped. And I mean, I love this book, so I think that it deserves the hype. Book number 2 is where my objectivity officially left the scene forever, because this is a Wolf Song by TJ Klune, and you already know where this is going, but I think this book is underhyped. I love this book. It is my favorite book of all time, and this book could have 10 million ratings, and I would still think that it is underhyped. Is that objective? No, but I absolutely love this book. And while I can see that this book might not be for everyone, I mean, it's about gay werewolves, but it also has a huge like found family aspect that is just so sweet, and I would absolutely want everyone to read this book, so I'm gonna say it is underhyped, but that's literally just me. So yeah. Book number 3 is The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones, and in my opinion, this book is appropriately hyped. I did not know that this book had as much that huge of an audience, but I am glad, because I think Stephen Graham Jones is a good writer. Can I say that I personally love this book? No. But I also think a lot of things in this book went over my head. And I think that people should be checking out indigenous horror and like actual horror. We're gonna I am actually surprised, like in the remainder of this list, how much actual horror was on this list, and not just mainstream horror. Because I think that this book, as a horror book, like is really good and really like represents how diverse the horror genre can be. Because I think Stephen Graham Jones and other Indigenous voices have a like amazing voice in horror. And so I love that this book has such a huge readership, and I want to reread this someday, and maybe I will get more out of it. At the time, I just didn't love it, but it's also like very early, and I don't think I just got it fully. So yeah, I do think that this is appropriately hyped. I love that this has such a huge readership, and I cannot fault it for it, so it's going in that tier. Then, next book is The Troop by Nick Cutter, and I am so surprised that this has such a huge readership. I know this is popular, but I didn't know it was that popular. But I also have to say that I think this is somewhat overhyped, so it's going in that tier. Why do I think this is somewhat overhyped? I love that a decidedly non-mainstream horror book has gone this popular, because I think that a lot of horror that ends up becoming popular is just not like the actual good representation of the horror genre. We're going to talk about one book that I think is a very good example of that later in the video. But yeah, The Troop is brutal. And while I did not like it, I think that so many people picking it up is just a testament to like when something really gets popular, then people can even step outside of their comfort zone and really even give a genre that they might not really even like consider even reading before, like a try. And I love that this book seemingly did that for people. Do I think that there's 100,000 better examples of like horror that is like brutal and still like good, because I don't think this book is good? Yeah. So that's why I'm putting it into somewhat overhyped. But I do like that this is that popular. I just hope that it maybe convinces people to pick up other horror books. So yeah, but yeah, I think it's somewhat overhyped, but I like that it's that popular. The next book is The Last House on Needless Street by Catriona Ward, and I think this is somewhat overhyped. I have heard a lot of hype about this book before I picked it up, and personally, I was just very underwhelmed by it. I know that this book is intentionally uncomfortable, but I just really didn't like that, and I just really don't get why this is that popular. I mean, it is very twisty, and that's a thing that people kind of like in thrillers. And I don't think really anybody could see the end reveal coming. So maybe that's what people get about this. And what I've heard is always that this book is like so twisty and that people will love it because of that. So maybe this is why the word of mouth about this book is so good. But it just wasn't for me. And I don't know. This book is not something that I would ever consider having such a mass appeal. So yeah, I do think that it's somewhat overhyped in this case. And then we have The Humans by Matt Haig. And if you have ever heard me talk about this book, then you will know that this is going into overhyped in capital letters totally. I hate this book. I have not picked up any Matt Haig since, but I do definitely consider him an author that is just generally not for me from what I've heard about his work. This one was so shallow in all of its observations about humanity. It was not funny in the slightest, but you could just tell that the author thought that he was like writing this like existential work on like humanity or anything, and no, I couldn't stand this book. And yeah, I do not get why this is that popular, and I also don't think it should be that popular. I mean, maybe this is resonating with people and I'm just the odd one out again, but I absolutely hated this book. And so I do not get why it's that popular. Like maybe my own opinions are playing into this again, but no, absolutely not. Like, no, overhyped all the way. Then there is Congo by Michael Crichton. And this one is our first entry into the wait, this is popular tier? Like, over the course of this tier list, I have definitely seen that Michael Crichton seems to be popular in general, which for some reason I just didn't notice. I thought only Jurassic Park was like really popular, but apparently like most of his stuff that I've read is actually on this list. Like, no, all of the stuff I've read from him is on this list for some reason. And I liked Congo, but I just didn't know that it had such mass appeal. So it's going into this category that I've made like specifically for that purpose. So Yeah. Then we have Jaws by Peter Benchley, and I would say this book is somewhat overhyped. I did not like it, and I don't think that most people do. I've definitely heard some good reviews of it, and yeah, but I do think that this book is probably just so well read because of the movie. I don't think that most people that watch the movie even know that it's based on a book, but the ones that do research about it may come across it, and then they may be intrigued, and then they may read the book, and that's why it has that huge of a readership. I do not think that's really the quality here, because yeah, I mean, obviously it's based on my personal opinion again, but I didn't think this book was that good. So I think this book got a boost because of its movie, and that's why I think it's overhyped. So yeah, it's going in that tier. And then we have The Lost World by Michael Crichton. And this one is going into underhyped, I'm sorry. I did look at most of the numbers for these, but already forgot about them. But I do remember this book had like 200,000 ratings. And I think Jurassic Park has over 1 million. And I'm sorry, but I think that's criminal because I love this book. This is one of the Michael Crichton books that I love, along with Jurassic Park. We're going to get to it. But yeah, so I think that this having so much less of a readership, I'm sorry, but get on there. Like, The Lost World is so good. Just like Jurassic Park, I really did love it. And yeah, I do think that this is overhyped. Like, if you have picked up Jurassic Park, do yourself a favor and pick up The Lost World as well. I just love dinosaur stories in general. I've made an entire video about it, and everything. But yeah, I also love Jurassic Park. And so I love its sequel as well. And it obviously, this is still a huge amount of readers, but I do think that this is underrated just in comparison to Jurassic Park. Pick it up, please. And for some reason, we immediately start with another Michael Crichton, and that is Sphere. And this one is going into the wait, this is popular tier again? Again, I just didn't know that Michael Crichton was popular outside of Jurassic Park. And with this book, I just also really don't get it because this is so boring and nonsensical. And I also don't think that this got a boost because of the movie, because I do think that literally more people probably know about the book than the movie, because the movie is really obscure and also not good in the slightest. So I don't think people will go out of their way to read the book after watching the movie. So yeah, I just again did not know about Michael Crichton being that popular, and that's why it's going into the tier. Oh god, this is I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid. And we have another entry into the overhyped and capital letters tier. This is a long time since I've read this, but I do not get why this is that popular. I personally give it 1 star, but it's not just because of my judge of quality, but because I don't see the mass appeal for this book. I know that Ian Reid in general is popular. Obviously, he's not more on this list because I have not read more from him, but I don't know. He just doesn't seem like the guy who writes books that would be that popular. I'm Thinking of Ending Things is really weird. It just maybe I just didn't get it, but I think more people would not get it because yeah, it's just this is such a strange book with twists and not twists, but just literal shifts in reality. I don't even know how to explain it, and I've read it a long time ago. But from what I remember, this book just is weird turn after weird turn, and none of it is really ever explained. Maybe it's explained, but I just forgot about it. But in my opinion, it wasn't really well explained, and maybe it doesn't need to be explained. Maybe you just are supposed to go along with it. But I really thought this was so weird, and for that reason, weird books like that just in general don't really get that popular. So I don't really know why this was. I know that Ian Reid in general is popular, but yeah, this book just doesn't seem to be a candidate for really having that huge of a readership. So in my opinion, this is totally overhyped, but I could be wrong about that. Next up is another Michael Crichton book, and this one is The Andromeda Strain. And for me, this is going into the somewhat overhyped category. I am finished with putting Michael Crichton into the I don't know this was popular category because at this point I just accepted. And the Andromeda Strain is one I plainly don't really get why it's that popular, but also I do not think that it's egregiously terrible, and why the hell do people read this? So it's just going into the somewhat overhyped category. Yeah, this one is just a little boring for me. This book I straight up went out of my mind once I read it. That's why I nearly forgot about it in my wrap up I last did. And like, I don't know, maybe people like to read about these scientific procedures that would go on once this alien virus is found. I definitely found the premise interesting, and I definitely liked it in other books before, but for me this was just like not that great. And like maybe it was good at the time when it came out because this is an older book, but yeah, I don't know. I know that there's also a movie, so I don't know if it influenced the popularity in any way, but I don't know. Michael Crichton in general, again, just seems to be popular, but this book is also like not one of his best work in my opinion. Not that like anything really is outside of Jurassic Park for me, but yeah, I do not get it really with this book. But in terms of Michael Crichton, let's just put it into slightly overrated because like I don't know. And then we have Home Before Dark by Riley Sager, and you might wonder where I put this book because I really don't like it, but I think that this is appropriately hyped. I do think that for its target audience, this book is really good. I did not care for it in the slightest. I gave it 2 stars. I thought it was stupid. But for the people that like these thrillers, especially because Riley Sager definitely appeals to like a general thriller audience, but kind of does something different. He has this very generic thriller like always in there, but he always packs on a like load of twists, and especially in this one with like this slight element of maybe is there something supernatural, is there not something supernatural. I think people who just like read more domestic thrillers really like that element, and so I do think that he offers something to his target audience that really like him, and I just am not part of that, so I didn't care for it. But I do think that people like generally like genuinely enjoy this, even though I don't think it's a quality book, and so I will put this into appropriately hyped because I do think that this will land for a lot of people. I'm just not one of them. And then we have a book that was like a darling in the year that came out, I think like 2024. And then since then, I have never heard anybody talk about this ever. And that is Blue Sisters by Coco Mellors. I am going to put this into the somewhat overhyped tier. This is part of the like it girl lit fic that is always like in one year, and then the next year everybody forgets about it and nobody is talking about it ever again. And for me, I don't like read a lot of lit fic, so maybe I'm not the best judge of character here, but I thought this book was so fucking dry and boring. And yeah, I don't know. I do think that this is probably a little overhyped again, just because it is this part of the literature club that like everybody reads like at one time and then nobody talks about it again. And I mean, if that's not a mark of quality, then I don't know. Maybe people are just quick to forget about things in this like age of like, I don't know, consumerism and people just being very quick to move on to the next thing, especially or like short form content and anything. But I don't know. This book seems so like I don't know how to describe it. Just it was there and then it was not, and people loved it at the time, but I just don't see any love for it any longer. And so I think that this was probably somewhat overhyped, just because at the time there was so much hype, but everybody seems to have forgotten about it. And if it was really that good, then it probably would have endured. Like again, maybe I'm just not the best judge of character because I think that popular things should endure, but maybe they just don't anymore. But I think that this book has vanished for me is an indicator that it was overhyped at the time and that people just actually don't really care that much about it. So yeah. And then we have Mexican Gothic. And this one is one of the books that I thought about when I thought about like real mainstream horror that is like adapted to like casual audiences being on here more than like actual horror, which at the moment like is not even the case, but that's probably because I don't pick up a lot of mainstream horror, and so this is only like the popular like actual horror. But I think Mexican Gothic definitely hit the mainstream horror thing because I think it was like part of like Book of the Month, and so like a lot of people that usually don't pick up horror books like pick it up. But I also think that I really don't begrudge Mexican Gothic because I actually like it, mainstream horror or not. I think this book is really good. It has a very good atmosphere. I like the main character. And so, yeah, I really did like this. And so, mainstream horror or not, I do think that this book is going into appropriately hyped. I do like love that people are picking up more horror, mainstream horror or not. I just always think that with mainstream horror, it's just always like maybe a little dumbed down, and it's the acceptable horror where people that aren't really into horror and maybe like even think bad of the horror genre a lot of times, like a lot of like non-genre readers often do, then pick it up and feel good about themselves for having tried this exotic genre and not finding it terrible, even though they don't even really get a taste of what that genre actually like. Again, we're going to talk about one of those books later that I just hate so much for that reason. But I think Mexican Gothic, while being accessible, still manages to be a good book, like regardless of it. And so I really like it, and I like that a lot of people picked it up, and I think it's appropriately hyped. And then we have Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones, and I also think that this book is appropriately hyped. I mean, it's kind of a classic, so maybe I wouldn't put it on here, but it's like newer, and I just am not smart enough to really distinguish like what like a modern classic is, so I didn't put those like out there. So yeah, I will include this, and I think this is appropriately hyped. I really like this book. I mean, I have seen people absolutely despise this for some reason and say that the movie is like so much better. And for me, I like really love the book because, like, don't get me wrong, the movie is beautiful, but the movie is just like beautiful shapes and colors and nothing really more. I do not find the message that a lot of people are finding with this movie. I just don't. I and I am one for like really like analyzing movies on like a deeper level, but I just do not get it in the movie. The movie is just a little incoherent to me for some reason, and it's beautifully animated, but like nothing more. While the book, while not having like a deeper message, like I think it's just beautiful. Like again, it's also a very whimsical story, just like the movie, but I like it more because it just is a more well-rounded affair that actually makes sense. And yeah, I don't know. I didn't like the real world aspects, but again, I just really like this, and I think a lot of people resonate with it, like regardless of movie haters or not. And so yeah, I also like that you can like probably like pick this up at any age, even though it is a like children's book, middle grade book. I don't know. I don't think this is why I do think that it's like more middle grade, but yeah, I really do love this, and I think it's appropriately hyped because it just will probably resonate with so many people. So yeah. The next book is Toucan Play by Ali Hazelwood, and I think that this book is underhyped. Saying underhyped for a book that will probably still amass a lot of ratings because this is just like a newer book, and Ali Hazelwood in general has just like such a huge readership that this will probably still pick up a lot of readers over the years. Is then like calling it underhyped would probably be a little false, but I would still call it that because at the moment it does have less than the other books of hers I've read. But I do think that this is like so good. So I do want this to have more readers that it will probably eventually get. But at the moment, I think it's overhyped, just in comparison to other releases. Because yeah, I love this book. It's so short and cute, and I just love Ali Hazelwood in general. So yeah, at the moment it's underhyped. It probably will not be underhyped in like a few years. But at the moment I just put it there. And then we have Shiver by Maggie Stiefvater, which I put into the appropriately hyped category. For what reason, I don't really know. But yeah, I mean, I liked Shiver, but I didn't think it was like that amazing. But I do get why it would be that popular because it is a paranormal romance in the like era where paranormal romance was like still really popular. It like rode the Twilight train, so to say, and regardless of how stupid it maybe is, it just I don't know. I think it just like had the moment to really be popular, and it like took that moment with storm, and so it's in the position it's in. And regardless of people liking it or not, I think it's like popular for a reason, just because it like was in that moment of time where paranormal romance was the shit. And so I get why it's that popular, and yeah, I think it deserves it. It's just a fun book in my opinion. And yeah, that's why I put it into appropriately hyped. Then we have Deep End by Ali Hazelwood, and that's also going into appropriately hyped. Again, I love Ali Hazelwood, and in my opinion, she deserves all the fame in the world. And these books being popular is music to my soul because I really loved Deep End. And yeah, that's why I put it into appropriately hyped. Nothing more to say about it. The next one is Silence of the Lambs, and this is going into slightly overhyped. I mean, probably this is one I kind of get why this is popular because people just love it for being like a thriller that is like so good. I don't know. I did like this book. Not really anything that has to do with Buffalo Bill for obvious reasons, and I did not also like the last half, or like last third, last fourth, like the last section where she was Hunting Down Buffalo Bill. I thought that was like before it was like really cool psychological thriller stuff, and the last thing was just like generic like actual action thriller stuff, which I definitely like less. But I mean, I do get it because this also has a popular film, and the novel is like, in my opinion, just as good. I definitely like the movie less, so I do get why this is popular. But also hailing it as like this one amazing like thriller horror book is like gives it like a maybe a little too much glory. So I put it into slightly overhyped, although I do get why this is popular. One that I definitely don't get why it's as popular as it is The Whisper Man by Alex North, which is going into overhyped with capital letters. Why? Because I don't know. This, in my opinion, is a Silence of the Lambs ripoff in the worst way. It really tries to be like this deep psychological thriller, but it doesn't. And the action elements like also aren't that well executed. It's just so generic in every way. And while I know that people pick up a lot of generic slop, probably, what the fuck did I just say? Probably. I do not get why it just fell on this book. Like, this is really not that good. And for it having as much of an audience as it has, like, I really do not get it in the slightest. Like, the quality for this book is not there. Like, please tell me what you like found in this book, because like I don't know, I really don't get it. So yeah, like this one, I don't know. There's so many like domestic thrillers, action thrillers, child abduction thrillers, whatever you want to call this. So why this book? Why? What about it is that good? Like, I don't know. Are all of these like thrillers that I just like in the genres that I just said that popular? Or is it just this book? Because I haven't read a lot of them, so maybe this just seems like an outlier to me because the other books don't show up on my shelves. But like, I still don't get why this is that popular. Like, this is so generic. Like, why are we elevating generic stuff? Like, why? Like, no. And then we have What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher, and I really like this book, but this is going into the wait, people like this tier, because I really did like this book, but I didn't know that as much people read it as they did. Like, I know that T. Kingfisher was popular, but I didn't know that as many people have read What Moves the Dead as they did. Then we have Beartown by Frederick Backman, which, if you know my opinion about this book, is going to the absolutely appropriately hyped tier. I think this book is amazing, and yeah, I also think that this book is like just one with a very general appeal. So I do get why it is that popular, and again, that's what that tier is for. So it's going into the appropriately hyped tier. So this one is the mainstream horror book that I've talked about. That is the worst example of that like genre entirely, and it's Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak, which is going into the overhyped in capital letters here. This book is so ass. And like, this is everything I hate about mainstream horror, because I'm pretty sure this was also like a book of the month pick. And so people that don't generally read horror are picking this up and thinking to themselves, oh my god, look at me, I'm so brave, I'm reading a horror book, even though I'm like probably just reading like litfic and self-help for like the entire rest of the year. But like, this is not like actually a horror book. It is the most like dumbed down version of what people think a horror book is, with like the most generic version of every trope imaginable. And also like there's transphobia in there, and I don't think that transphobia is something that keeps a book from being popular, because as bad as it is, I do not think that a lot of people like actually care about transphobia in their books, because a lot of people won't even notice that there is transphobia in their books because they do not care. And I hate that because I hate transphobia, but a lot of people don't. And that's just also why, again, like a lot of people like also think that this is horror, and it's not. This is a supernatural thriller at best, with a bunch of absolutely dumb and stupid tropes and characters that are so terrible, and writing that is so terrible, and no, totally like garbage. So no, absolutely overhyped in my opinion. Back to one that I love, and that is not overhyped in my opinion, but absolutely appropriately deserves all the hype it gets. Bright Valley Hazelwood, absolutely appropriately hyped. I love that this is that popular. Like, bring back my paranormal romance. I hate that this is like the like straight people's like introduction to Omegaverse, because in my opinion this is not even Omegaverse. Like, just having a notch does not make something Omegaverse. Give me pregnant men and we can talk about Omegaverse again, but this one is not. But saying that, I still thought that this book was so hot. I love the pair, and I don't know, I just love Ellie Hazelwood in general, and like get all the ratings of the books you get. Like this book being popular like makes my soul sing like yeah, yeah, yeah. I love this. Then we have Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and this one is going to the slightly overhyped category. I don't know. I do think that people picking this book up is great because I like that queer fiction is popular, but I also am like kind of questioning if this book would be as popular if it was written by someone different than Taylor Jenkins Reid. Like, I am not saying that she doesn't deserve it, and I like that this book is that popular because like Taylor Jenkins Reid, I'm pretty sure herself is queer, so I like having a queer book by a queer author being this popular. But Taylor Jenkins Reid pretty much is like the Stephen King of whatever genre she actually writes in, and I think that everything she would write would be popular. So I do think that, like, I don't know, is the hype for this book like really that organic, or is it just people like flocking to it because it's Taylor Jenkins Reid? I don't know. Did I think this book was that great? Also no. So yeah, I do love that this is popular, kinda, but I think it's slightly overhyped. And then we have A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara, which I will also put into the slightly overhyped category. Do I love this book? Yes. Do I also hate this book? Yes. And why am I putting it on slightly overhyped? Well, I mean, I get why it's popular because I loved it too, but I also hate so many things about this book, and I do not think that this book would be as popular as it is if it was actually like written by gay men. I'm just saying that. Like, and Hanya Yanagihara like did like misrepresent like literally everything she tried to do in this book. Like, I'm sorry. And I don't know, this book does so many things like wrong. Like, this is so like bi erasure, this book. Like, I don't want to speak for bisexual people because I'm not one of them, but I'm pretty sure that Willem would be considered bisexual because he likes women, but also, what was the main guy's name? Jude? And people just like don't even consider that in that book. Like, people are considering Willem as straight, and then as soon as he likes Judy, he's gay. But like, he's not. He's bisexual. He still likes women too. So and that's just like one of my many gripes about this book. Like, the mental health representation being as the representation of gay men being as the I like everything. Like, it's, but like, I just like it for being like an effective drama and making me feel things. And again, I do not think that this book would be as popular if it was actually written by a gay man with like actually good like research on things. And so like, do like this book, but like also, should it be that popular? Like, no. So I'm saying it's slightly overhyped. And then we have the Michael Crichton book I like, which is Jurassic Park, and yeah, I do think this is appropriately hyped. It's dinosaurs, people. Read it. And I like that people picked this up. So yeah, appropriately hyped because I love dinosaurs. Then we have My Sister's Keeper by Jodi Picoult, which is one of my worst books of the year, so you already know that it's going to the overhyped in capital letters category. I mean, I get that people pick this up because this is definitely of the era where like major book clubs and people still being part of a lot of book clubs still were a thing. And yeah, I don't know. There's also like a popular movie. I don't know. I don't know if the movie's that popular. I just know that there's a movie. And yeah, like, this is one like that every mom probably like read back in the day that was part of a book club. But I also just don't get why this would be that popular, since I mean, there's still like word of mouth, and just because it's part of a book club doesn't need to be that popular. Like, this still has to resonate with a lot of people, and why this resonated with a lot of people is a thing that mind boggles me, because this book is like ass in my opinion. So that's why it's going into like absolutely overhyped category, because like, no, like, no, like, that twist ending was so ass, and everything about this was like, why do we need to know about the lawyers' relationships, and why is it like, no, like, this book, no, 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 don't get me started about this book. So yeah, in my opinion, it's overhyped. And the last book here, which I'm pretty sure is also like the most popular book on my shelves, excluding classics and Stephen King books. And I mean, I kind of think that these were in order, but I also think that Tearmaker like mixed up my photos. So I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure that this book is the most popular thing on my entire like read list. And this is The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. And do I think that it deserves the hype? Maybe it's an Ella Hazelwood book. Of course, I think this deserves the hype. This debatably might be in the conversation for one of my favorite books of the year. Absolutely love this. 5 stars. I love this so much. Again, it's an Ellie Hazelwood book. Like, give her a 2 million ratings, give her a 3 million ratings. I don't care. Make her books popular because I love her. I know that it's not popular to be like a mainstream girly, but I am in this case because Ellie Hazelwood is amazing. I love these two. This is such a great romance in my opinion, which I never thought it would be because I am like not really into Raylo actually because I don't know, but whatever Ellie Hazelwood puts out, I absolutely love every time. So yeah, I do think that is appropriately hyped, and let's go into that tier. And that concludes my tier ranking of all the most popular books that I have read. Am I having any like key takeaways of any of this? No, probably not. Just that I'm really probably not objective about things because the absolutely overhyped tier is only books that I myself kind of really despise. So yeah, this is probably just me like going on a like revenge mission against all the books I don't like, and that's still got a lot of people that do like them, and this will not solve anything ever at all, but I don't really care. Anyway, I know it's been a week since I've been on camera because the last thing I put out was a short story. I'm gonna put out more, don't worry. Although I don't think really anybody's like clamoring for that since I don't think that one really did that well. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If Sunny's ex-boyfriend is watching this, because I'm pretty sure that his people found my channel, since the Hear Me Out video suddenly got popular, and I have seen it was shared on WhatsApp and watched through that like a bunch of times. I do not want to sleep with you. That video was not serious in the slightest. And I'm sorry if I offended you, but I do not really give a shit either, so don't be weird about it. Also, this could have happened weeks ago and I just noticed now, so probably me addressing it will not do anything at all. I also don't think that you actively watch my channel now, so I don't know why I do this, but I don't care. Anyway, I hope to see you again in the video. Bye!